Dating shows put women in so much danger. This hobosexual and a literal abuser, to name a couple examples. I don't know if y'all saw, but this just came out. That bald fisherman guy, it was way worse than we were told. Now, before I get into any of this, if you have never seen these shows, Love is Blind, The Bachelor, Golden Black Bachelor, good for you. Please, I admire you. You don't have to have watched this to understand what I'm talking about here. Because my main point is that these shows not only humiliate women on a regular basis, they literally put women in danger. And I've made several videos on this. Even the dude who started Bachelor Nation as a domestic violence, allegedly abuser. And I really hope Teresa here signed a prenup, because this hobosexual is gonna take your money. Like, they just got married and did this whole party as if we did not find out a month ago that this guy is a liar and a gold digger, body shaming, like, piece of crap. But he's a nice guy, he really is. But I'm gonna do a whole nother video on this guy, because this one is about Love is Blind and just how bonkers that last season was. So before I get into just how bad this dude is, I want to do a little recap. This woman almost married this firefighter dude who wouldn't talk, told her, tried to police her makeup, tried to police her looks, is one of these hero complex guys I warn y'all about all the time. Firefighters, first responders, blah, blah, blah. The guys who are heroes in their communities, but losers at home, and sometimes absolutely terrifying covert narcissist kind of dudes, very controlling. Not saying he's that, but he sure had a lot of the signs. At the very least, the dude would not talk and constantly criticize this woman who, I'm telling you, all they do is humiliate women on this show. But she came out on top. She came out single and such a good role model for women to center themselves and their peace and not let any man convince them they deserve any less. The other hero of the show, Aaliyah, who was shamed and attacked by this guy who also was kind of a prick, so mean to her, so critical, gaslighting. I'm so glad she did not end up with this man. Then there's also Miriam, who I did a whole video of. This show hates women, but it really hates black women and humiliates them the most. So much so that they made it sound like she's a liar and even used that assumption as a question in their reunion show. What does Miriam do for a living? And Aaliyah refused to throw her under the bus. Look at this. Scientists. I've seen some YouTube videos interviewing her. By the way, I have been on a reality TV show for National Geographic. I've also worked on them as crew, and I worked in the film industry for a long time. So anybody's like, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I know this world. I know lots of people who work in this world. I'm friends with them. I know people who literally cast for reality TV shows. I understand this world. And they did her so wrong. The blonde chick, I forget her name, and Aaliyah, the only people who made it to the end who had really empowering lessons to share with everyone else. The rest of the women had too much pick me, cool girl, whatever stuff going on. And remember this dude who wanted unconditional love said that with Stacy, he tried to ignore looks, money, and drama. And, is just the sad guy and manipulates women with his tears and they make them feel sorry for him. Perpetual victim, literally is looking for a meal ticket. He's exhausted from dating, doesn't want to go to therapy, deal with all his religious trauma because he was raised by a cult. And then he's like, yeah, I just want to settle down. Literally gave this woman a plunger as a present, was doing 50-50 talk, refused to do anything nice for her, lied about his finances constantly, and then claimed he didn't lie because he didn't lie to her face. Although when you refuse to talk about something when you're asked directly, that's called lying through omission, bro. And that's what these dudes do all the time, especially the hobosexuals. Ask them questions. A lot of questions. Even when her dad asked him, is he going to take care of his daughter? He was like, I'm not going to feel judged, if I can't. And like all hobosexuals and narcissists and abusers, he just wanted someone who's not going to give up on him. Because if you have self-respect, you should give up on men like this. They're going to make your life worse. Remember, he's also the guy who cried in the closet and, manipulates women by saying, you think you're too good for me? I'm not good enough for you. Why does credit score matter? Why does the car I drive matter? Why does the fact I don't have health insurance matter? None of that stuff matters. You're a gold digger. Projection. But at every turn, anytime she questioned him, You make me feel like I'm not good enough for you. So the reason why I bring all this up is imagine this other guy is doing all of this too, but with violence. Because this woman, remember we kept seeing this woman in like the parties and stuff, this Renee lady, and we're like, why are you there? Her and that bald guy, the big fisherman, they were at like that party in the middle for all the couples. And I remember thinking, why are they there? Well, that's because they, if you didn't know this, they actually got engaged and went on the whole vacation and did the whole thing. They lived together in Houston. They did the whole thing. And then their storyline got cut out because the producers were literally afraid for her and were like, oh crap, we can't include this couple. That's why there were so few at the end. You know it's bad. Oh, cut his head off. You know it's bad when this guy is somehow the best guy on the whole show? Because even the nice guy, Chris, that we all felt so bad for, because he was so vulnerable. Cheater! Along with Izzy, these men are all like so emotionally stunted, but at least they didn't completely scare the crap out of the women that production put them with. These producers, I'm telling you, either they are just don't care or they're not doing enough research. But I would be willing to bet it's mostly because they don't care. They're hoping that it's all going to be drama. But this drama that they put women through is life-threatening sometimes. And it leaves so many of these women scarred for a long time, having to spend that much time with these crazy dudes. So as Renee says, that her and Carter, the bald fisherman dude, their whole story was basically cut. And if you forget anything about this guy, I'm surprised that he actually got engaged at all. I know they could have edited out really interesting things that he had to say, but the only thing I remember about him is they're like, what do you do? What do you think about? And he's like, fish. That's the only thing I think about all day long. He also had a scene where he was talking about how he admires Ryan Reynolds, that he's he worships Ryan Reynolds, and I'm like, that makes sense. Y'all know how I feel about Ryan Reynolds. Bleh. So how bad was it? I mean, how could you get worse? But it's worse. This Carter dude, unemployed with a negative balance in his bank account. This is worse than Izzy. Homeless? Violent, estranged from his family, and actively addicted to drugs and alcohol at the same time. That's a lot, y'all. She is alleging that they actually I say Hobosexual as somebody who has a lot of experience with men who financially abuse women because they just don't have money. But at least Izzy was renting an Airbnb. I'm not even convinced that's his place. But this dude's homeless. And this is not against homeless people or the unhoused. But going on a dating show when you're active in addictions, have no money, don't have a home or any family to go find yourself a very successful one. Oh my God. Look at this. His erratic and alarming behavior and emotional instability became glaringly obvious to, I don't know how to say her last name, Renee and the production staff. So she's suing them, and she should. These people put her in danger. She became utterly terrified to be around him and made her misgivings clear to production. She alleged that the production team had concerns about her fiancé and warned her to ensure that he did not have access to firearms or other weapons. She said they also told her she'd face legal action if she were to leave Love is Blind. And in that climate of fear and unease, she began to spiral physically, mentally, and emotionally. So we know that when they're shooting this stuff, they do isolate these contestants. They're not allowed to call anyone. They're not allowed to see anyone. They're very isolated. One of my closest friends was on one of those Big Brother shows. I know from firsthand accounts and having worked on some of these shows, I know what it's like. But if you are being abused and are terrified, that experience all alone is so isolating. So the fact that she couldn't talk to anybody and had to be escorted by the wranglers, the talent wranglers. She said it was traumatic. She felt like a prisoner. And even though the show's like, no, they're allowed to leave. People can leave. Yeah, technically they can leave. But the psychological warfare that's already going on in her head, plus being isolated, she probably wasn't able to make good decisions either. These shows are so dangerous.